All right, so for today, we're going to be looking at how to solve equations using substitution. Now, when I'm giving you two equations, I'm basically asking what's the value of x and y that will make both statements true. So let's take a look at number 5. For substitution, make sure one of your equations has a letter by itself. If we already have one by itself, well, great. Move on. If we don't, get one equation where a letter is by itself. Looking at question number 5, the bottom section, I can easily get the y by itself if I move the negative 7x to the right of it. So I'm going to have this as y equals positive 7x plus 14. Notice how I move the negative 7x, so obviously I switch the sign. So I get a letter by itself. I have a positive 1 in front of the y, so that's fine. If I had anything in front of the y, divide everything by that number. Now, here, what I'm going to do, everything that y is equal to, I'm going to replace it for y on the other equation. So let me write this as 7x minus 2. I'm going to open parentheses. 7x plus 14 equals negative 21. Notice how I replaced 7x plus 14 for y, and I put it inside parentheses. Basically, I wanted to write everything in terms of one letter. Now let's get rid of parentheses. So I have 7x. Let me distribute the negative 2. Minus 14x minus 28 equals negative 21. Let me simplify the left. 7x minus 14x. That gives me negative 7x minus 28 equals negative 21. The minus 28, I'm going to move it over as a plus 28. So I have that negative 7x is equal to 7. Divide both sides by negative 7. X equals negative 1. I have half of my answer. Because remember, I'm asking for the x and the y value that makes both statements true. I found the x value. Now for my y value, I'm going to use any equation that I have. In this case, let me use this equation. I know the value of x now, so let me rewrite that as y equals 7 times negative 1 plus 14. So I have that y equals negative 7 plus 14. So it means that y equals 7. That's it. Make sure whenever you type it, there's a space after the comma. And make sure you guys are using the parentheses as well. All right, let's take a look at number 6. Oh, one thing, make sure whenever you answer it doesn't matter which letter you solve for first. You have to type them in alphabetical order. The x first and then the y. All right, let's take a look at number 6. I can easily get the x by itself at the bottom. So I'm just going to say that x is equal to negative 4y plus 16. Notice the 4y, I moved it over, so I switched the sign. So everything that x is equal to, I'm going to replace it for the x in this other equation. So let me rewrite this with a negative 3, open parentheses, negative 4y plus 16 plus 3y equals negative 3. Notice I replaced negative 4y plus 16 instead of x. And I put it inside parentheses as well. Now let me distribute the negative 3. So that's going to give me 12y minus 48 plus 3y is equal to negative 3. On the left side of the equal sign, let me combine my like terms. So I have 15y minus 48 is equal to negative 3. To get the y by itself, this negative 48, I'm going to move it to the other side. Don't forget to switch the sign. So I have that 15y is equal to 45. Let me divide each side by 15. Y is equal to 3. So in my answer, I have the y value. Notice I put it second because I had to write them in alphabetical order. X and then Y. Have the Y value. Now, to solve for X, I'm going to use any equation, and I'm going to use this one where X is by itself. I have that X is equal to -4 times 3 plus 16. So X equals -12 plus 16. So that means X is equal to 4. Once again, whenever you type them in alphabetical order. X first and then Y. Now let's take a look at number 7. I'm trying to get a letter by itself, and I can see on the first equation, I can easily get X by itself if I move the 4Y over. So let me replace this as X equals. Remember, I'm going to move the 4Y, so don't forget to switch the sign. -4Y minus 10. So everything that X is equal to, I'm going to replace it for the X in this other equation. So I have 5. Inside parentheses, I have -4Y minus 10 plus 2Y is equal to 4. Let me distribute the 5 to get rid of parentheses. So I have that -20Y minus 50 plus 2Y is equal to 4. Now looking at the left side of my equal sign, let me combine my like terms. I have that -18Y minus 50 is equal to 4. To get the Y term by itself, the -50, then we move it to the right side as a plus 50. I'm getting ahead of myself. Plus 50. So I have that -18Y is equal to 54. Divide each side by -18. Y in this case is -3. So my answer, I know my Y value. Now I need to solve for X. I'm going to use this equation. You can use any equation you want. I'm just going to use this one. I have that X is equal to -4 times -3 minus 10. So I have that X is equal to 12 minus 10. So that means X is equal to 2. Now let's take a look at number 8. Now we can easily get the X by itself on the first equation. I'm going to move the 4Y over. So I have that X is equal to, moving this one over, -4Y plus 17. If I had a negative sign in front of the X, obviously divide that by the negative sign, everything. And the reason why I'm saying that is, what if you wanted to get the Y by itself? Looking at the second equation, 4X minus Y equals -17. I could have moved the 4X. So I have -Y equals -4X minus 17. I don't quite have the Y by itself. Divide everything by -1. Y is equal to 4X plus 17. Remember I said get a letter by itself. It was easier to get the X by itself. I wanted to show you what if you wanted to get the Y by itself. I will have to divide by -1 at the end. But okay, so let's go back to here. Like I said, I just wanted to show you what if you wanted to get the Y by itself. So I have this. Everything that X is equal to, I'm going to replace it for the X in this other equation. And I'm going to use parentheses. So I have a 4. Inside parentheses, -4Y plus 17 minus Y equals -17. I distribute the 4 to get rid of parentheses. So I have -16Y plus 68. Right, I just went 4 times 17 minus Y equals -17. On the left side of the equal sign, combine your like terms. I have that -17Y plus 68 is equal to negative 17. The plus 68, let me move it over as a minus 68. Every time I move something from one side of the equal sign to the other, I have to switch the sign. So I have that negative 17y is equal to negative 85. Because they have the same sign, I add my numbers. Let me divide by negative 17. All right, negative divided by negative is positive. 85 divided by 17 is 5. So I have that y equals 5. So on my answer, I know my y value. Now I need to solve for x. I'm going to use this equation. We can use any equation we want. I'm going to use that one. So I have that x is equal to negative 4 times 5 plus 17. So I have that x is equal to negative 20 plus 17. So x equals negative 3. Once you answer it, make sure you put them in alphabetical order, not which order you solve them. Alphabetical order, the x first and then the y. Make sure whenever you type it, there's a space after each comma. And that's how you solve by substitution.